The foundation prism. Level 1. Infrared level, victim. Level 2. Red level, survivor. Level 3. Orange level, worker. Scaling these levels leads to a mastery of the wealth flowing through our lives. It lets us create abundant flows of value and money regardless of market conditions. Wealth isn't how much money you have. Wealth is what you're left with if you lose all your money. Chapter 3. From infrared to red, victim to survivor. Measure. Negative personal cash flow every month. Emotions. Struggle, blame, denial. Cost of staying here. Stress, anxiety, helplessness. Focus needed. Discipline and duty. How did I get here? Not paying attention, not knowing better, not controlling flow. How do I move up? Measure your money, commit to conduct, do your duty. Have you ever gotten into a shower that's the perfect temperature and then boom, it's boiling hot and then boom, it's freezing cold? You jump out of the shower, but no matter how much you try, you can't get it right. Infrared is that experience with money, with your personal cash flow going backward every month. To get out of it, we need to get some good plumbing in place that gives us a level of predictability so that we can actually learn how to make the extra money we need on a weekly basis to survive and move to red level. People at infrared either don't know how to do that or think they do know and want it to be much bigger right now. They say, why would I want to make an extra $100 a week when I can be out there trying to get $10,000 or more? That was my experience early on with my publishing business. I was at this level when my car was repossessed. My business was generating some revenue, but I wasn't paying myself enough to survive. I'm not going to worry about that, I said. I'm not going to pay myself now. I'm just going to go for bigger stuff. I don't need to worry about making a couple of $1,000s to pay for my car because I'm going to be a millionaire. Why would I need that? Simply put, I was in denial, a core part of the disconnected state of infrared. Infrared is below the visible color spectrum. You can't see its heat waves, which eat away from the inside. But with your infrared goggles on, all you can see are those heat waves. You can't see anything else clearly. Thus, it is extremely difficult to make good decisions because you do not have any reference points to work from. And the consequences, as I learned that night in Singapore as I saw my car getting towed away, are more than just negative cash flow. Why infrared kills. It's the stress, panic, and uncertainty each day brings that make infrared such a state of emergency. People around us can sense when we're infrared. Our actions, thoughts, and language are different. Like all people at infrared level, every time I fell into it, I was exhausted. I complained more, had more opinions and judgments about even the smallest things, and felt more of a need to justify my ideas to others. That's why infrared level is called victim. We can't find self-worth in our success, so we distract ourselves with judgments, opinions, or ideas because we need to do that to feel worthy. Or we put our heads down and work all hours, as that's the only thing we can think of doing to make ends meet. As a result, people aren't willing to give us as much time as they used to, and we don't attract the kind of opportunities we used to attract. That's why the sole goal of infrared level is get yourself into positive territory by any means necessary. That is the only way to gain control and predictability and move to red level. You may be in infrared for the reason I was. You are not earning enough from your job to cover your living costs. You may have lost your job. You might be dealing with a huge financial setback like medical expenses or big debts. Or you could simply not know what your financial situation is. People in infrared may even look outwardly successful. Whether you are out of work or have a multi-million-dollar portfolio, if your personal cash flow is going backward every month, you are in infrared. To build sustainable wealth, stabilizing cash flow is the first priority. The good news is, once you commit to change, cut the distractions and follow your genius. You can get out of infrared in 3 months or less through 3 specific steps dealing with your money, time, and relationships. The 3 steps out of infrared. As you will hear in the stories ahead, each of the 4 geniuses follows the same 3 steps to move out of infrared in their own natural way. Number 1. Measure your money. What's coming in and going out? What is your personal flow? This first step goes beyond establishing discipline over how your money flows and extends to how your time and attention flow. For those of us who have fallen from a higher level of the lighthouse back into infrared, this means letting go of any vestiges of that old level. Number 2. Commit to conduct. The code by which you live each day needs to change if your habits are going to change. The key to your conduct is a commitment to reliability and consistency. The shift in conduct is from relying on yourself to solve your situation to connecting with others who are already in the flow of the markets. Number 3. Do your duty. Without a disciplined duty bigger than you, your slide will continue. Without forcing yourself to be accountable to make a change, nothing will change. Now is not the time to be following your passion at the expense of your discipline. Now is not the time to be saving the world. As the airline safety video says, in an emergency, put on your oxygen mask before helping others. You'll have plenty of time for that after your oxygen is flowing and you've bought your time back. You may understand these steps in theory. You may have even read some of them or heard them before, but remember the difference between information and direction we discussed at the start of this book. Many of us get stuck by looking at the entire map and not following the path that suits our genius. Your genius is your compass, and each of the 4 geniuses has a different winning formula for following these steps out of infrared. Following are these steps as taken by 4 geniuses. Regardless of your genius, listen to the Dynamo Genius Path first to hear how my story continues and how I applied the steps that apply to all geniuses to move out of infrared level. Then you can skip ahead to your own genius guide, but do listen to all 4 so that you can see how the natural strategies differ. The Dynamo Genius Path out of infrared. Like all Dynamo geniuses, I found that my biggest challenge at infrared was being overly optimistic. Dynamos are natural optimists. I was always saying, it'll get better tomorrow. I can always get more credit. I've still got some savings, so I'll be okay. Don't worry, it will all just sort itself out. In retrospect, saying I didn't need to worry about making $500 more to pay for my car because I was going to be a millionaire was like saying I didn't need to know how to swim because I was going to have a boat. Being a dynamo is like having an accelerator in a car, just the accelerator. No brake, no clutch, no gear shift. We don't like thinking small. We are always going to go for the next big thing. I tried 100 different things, knowing I was creative and sure I could always come up with a new one. With my Singapore publishing business, I put all the money I had into it. I was trying to accelerate my way out of trouble, but all I was really doing was revving in first gear. Even at infrared, I would go and spend unnecessary money on some big expense in the hope it would bring more revenue. I kept taking bets I couldn't afford to lose, which, of course, meant I kept losing. It turns out, all that was the wrong way to do it. So what did I do instead? Actually, it started with not what I did, but what I stopped doing. The list of things not to do to get out of infrared level was exactly what I was doing. If you are a dynamo genius like me, here is the path to follow to take you out of infrared. Step 1. Measure your money. Do not invest your money and resources in your big idea. All resources should be directed to paying yourself first before you feed your idea, and ensuring you have positive cash flow by not investing in anything big yet. Do measure your money by linking your future vision to the growth of your personal cash flow. Take small, steady steps by getting the support of others and set milestones to reach before you start sprinting ahead. Only when I put my future vision together did it become obvious that my family was the most important priority for me, far more important than the business I was struggling with. I had been an embarrassment. I shared what I wrote with my wife, and she dissolved into tears. So did I. That gave us both the commitment to say, enough is enough, and create a flight path with very specific, month-by-month quarterly milestones to make sure we as a family were going into positive cash flow, the complete opposite of me shooting for the moon. Problem is, dynamo geniuses don't like being patient. They rarely enjoy the details and tracking their daily expenses. What did I do? I found a tempo genius who could help me go through the numbers. Now, in this case, I got lucky. My wife, Renata, is a tempo genius. She worked in a hospital before she became a full-time mom. So for the first time ever, I asked her to help me with my finances. The good news is, regardless of your genius, there are always people around you who are willing to support you. Your first steps in team building, provided you are willing to actually put a plan in place and be completely transparent about it. No money? Use your family resources the way I did. Don't have a wife, family member, or good friend who is a tempo genius? You can trade genius time online, offering a creative review of a business plan written by a tempo or steel genius who can help get your books in order in return. Steel and tempo geniuses can offer the reverse to a dynamo genius for some creative input, or a blaze for some ideas on how to connect with people. Or rent a desk in any number of the shared office spaces opening in cities all over the world, where the free exchange of ideas is fueling the entrepreneurial spirit. Saying there is no one out there, or you don't have the time, is just an excuse. You will find a list of the most common infrared-level excuses later in this chapter. In my case, Renata and I turned money from a personal problem to a business problem as a team. We looked at the first 3 months and decided what it would take to organize our expenses and how much more the business would pay me. We also went to find a friend who was a steel genius who could help us with our accounts. We then worked out, as we will discuss shortly, how Renata could earn money using her tempo genius, while I worked out how the business could make more sales separately. All this could not have been more totally opposite to what I was doing before. I had stopped trying to do it on my own and stopped my frenetic activity trying to chase business. I turned away from launching new things and took the time to work with Renata and look hard at my business so it could cover our living expenses and get us to red level. That was what we did in Step 2. Step 2. Commit to conduct. Do not try to earn a second income by rushing in to start your own business or by focusing on your best idea. Yet. That's not digging a new stream. It's digging a hole. Do focus on serving others who already have better, more established ideas than you do. People higher up the lighthouse who are already in flow, so their flow will flow to you. Create a rhythm in your day, week, and month to keep you from burning out while serving others. There are countless books, speakers, and TV shows that preach the value of starting your own business, but they all assume you can pay your way until you work out what works. Saying, "I'm going to start my own business, but I haven't actually figured out how to manage my own finances," is like saying, "I'm going to fly a plane without taking a flying lesson." Your chances of taking off are slim. This is particularly true for dynamo geniuses who always think they will make things successful far faster than they usually do. As a result, no matter how often they make money, they find ways to spend it even faster. So what did I do to take this second step? It was a simple shift in focus, from expanding what we were doing to enhancing what we were doing. Once I had my small team measuring the money with a clear plan for paying me more, I set a rhythm in my day and my week that stopped the panic. I looked at how the business could simply make the extra cash flow I needed. I looked at the rates we were charging on our publications. I decided to increase our rates enough so I could increase what I paid myself while delivering an even better service to our customers. I got with the team and said, "We're going to focus on higher paying, faster paying customers," and they went out and found them. Within 1 month, I was out of infrared. Suddenly, the stress was gone. I was able to pay my bills. Now I was attracting business and people to me in a different way because I was going to work more confident. More important, I'd bought myself my time and my life back. You may say that's all easy for me to be doing since I have a business. What if you don't have a business but are in a job? What if you're unemployed? You can't just go and say, "I'm the genius you're looking for. Give me a job." What do you do to make the extra income? It turns out there are 4 gears for moving out of infrared for any genius, depending on your assets and business or employment status. See all 4 at the end of the chapter. My way in my publishing business was the yellow performer path, the 2nd gear way. I already had a business, and I could use the business to deliver me the cash flow I needed. But I also had experience with 1st gear, the foundation prism path. This is the way to follow if you are in a job or looking for one. I know this way intimately because I had fallen into infrared 3 years earlier, and I didn't have a business to help get me out. 3 years before my Singapore struggles, I was living in London. I was out of my first business, seeking a second as my next big thing, and I was trapped in infrared with a huge tax bill from that business to pay. Of course, as a dynamo, I was feeling optimistic that I could make things work. I had just spoken to my mentor who gave me all kinds of good advice, which I promptly ignored. Instead, our meeting inspired me to become a consultant. I could share with other people how much I'd learned as an entrepreneur. I took all the money we had in savings, about $1,000, and put an ad in a local newspaper offering my services to support local businesses. The ad appeared for a day, and I sat by the phone waiting for it to ring. I only got 1 call from a local plumber who loved my advice but was deeper in infrared than me at that point and couldn't pay me a thing. I remember sitting there thinking, maybe I'm just not cut out to be an entrepreneur. I was desperate and losing my dynamo hopefulness. Renata was working in a hospital to help pay the bills, but I kept assuring her I'd make money soon. Then the wake-up call came. Renata got pregnant. We were having a baby. It was one of the happiest and scariest moments of my life, and I knew it was time for me to quit playing entrepreneur. It was time to commit to conduct. I had to find a role working for someone in flow using my dynamo genius, or I would only be trading my time for money. I knew I was creative. I knew I could come up with good products. So, first off, I made a list of everyone I knew who was in flow and what he or she was up to. Then I asked, who did they know who was in flow? Who could I offer my creativity to, getting paid a percentage of the results I generated? Back then, the internet was just getting started. It fascinated me, and I went out and asked my friends who they knew in the industry that I could meet with and add value to. One thing led to another, and I found myself at the office door of a startup set up by 2 senior managers at Dell who had left with their share options and were funding an exciting new venture with Apple and Microsoft in Richmond, Surrey. I said, I would love to work for you guys. They told me, we're not hiring right now. I said, that's okay. Just give me a week where I can just show up and help out. At the end of the week, I'll give you my report on how I can help your business. Maybe there are some extra sales that could be made. Maybe there is a strategy you may be overlooking that fresh eyes will see. If you don't like anything I say, well, you've had my free labor for a week. This is something that dynamos do well. We can see ways to make money where money is being made. The company was intrigued by my proposal, and I got in the door. For a whole week, I shadowed the team and found ways I could help increase their sales by adding to the product range with their existing customers and reaching new customers. They liked my ideas and told me they would pay me on a percentage basis. This is what I mean by committing to conduct. I was committed to serve someone else's business instead of just focusing on my own idea. I knew I wasn't looking to be a millionaire. I was looking to make the money I needed to get by. Within a month, the company offered me a job helping with the sales, and I was out of infrared. The next year, I became part of the senior management and thus started learning about online businesses. But I never could have made it that far if I hadn't also done the essential step 3. Step 3. Do your duty. Do not go out and try and convince others to support you in your big idea. Yet. Do your duty to something bigger, not you and your success. Many people at Infrared think they already are doing their duty. I thought I was when I was at Infrared. But there is a big difference between sacrificing material things and sacrificing the very way we think for a higher level of commitment. Doing your duty is like going into the army. It's about doing something bigger than us, because if it isn't bigger than us, we will fall back into our old ways. In both my London and Singapore stories when I was in Infrared, it took something dramatic to shift me out. Both times it was my duty to my family. In Singapore, it was my car getting repossessed and the public shame it brought on my family that led to my writing my first future vision. In London, Renata's pregnancy gave me renewed focus on what I wanted for my future. I was very clear with that online company from day one that the reason that I was willing to give my time and focus to them is that I believed in what they were doing. But I was also clear that I had a child on the way. I wanted to make sure I was serving my family in the right way, too. Imagine that someone you love suddenly needs money for a medical operation, money that you don't have but need to raise. Would you force yourself to think differently and find the money? This is the nature of do your duty, putting duty to others above your current activity and focus. I have seen people who have been stuck at the same earning level, not just Infrared, for years, having given up hope of moving higher when suddenly their family had a need for money. They suddenly found a way to shift up. Keep in mind that you might be in a different situation. You may have a way that you can either earn more from your current job or business, or maybe add a second income stream. All that comes later. The bottom line right now is moving out of Infrared by using your genius to do so. The issue now is sustainability. Doing your duty is the ultimate way any genius breaks the addiction of Infrared, making it bigger than you. But staying out of Infrared means you must keep following all 3 steps, not making the same mistakes all over again. After England, I didn't and fell right back into Infrared. After Singapore, I never went into Infrared again because I had my future vision and stayed really clear and focused on all 3 steps. That doesn't mean I did not have companies that lost money and even failed. I did. And I continue to have my fair share of ups and downs even today. But regardless of the flow of the market and my businesses, my personal plumbing system stays flowing. Today, doing my duty means I prepare each Sunday evening for the upcoming week by reading and checking in on my future vision, going through my pre-flight checklists, and visualizing my perfect week ahead. The Blaze Genius Path Out of Infrared. What would I do differently in my 3 steps out of Infrared as a Blaze Genius? Well, I wouldn't read the books that tell me how to manage my personal finances by being an accounting whiz. Blaze Geniuses love people. There is nothing that excites them less than tracking numbers. Blaze Geniuses are similar to dynamos in needing the process to be fun to follow, but other people distract them more than their own ideas. They're the life of any party. Thus, while the winning formula for Blazes involves their connections and relationships, that can easily become their losing formula if the distraction leads them to chase opportunities away from what they are doing right now. If you are a Blaze Genius in Infrared, I guarantee your life is full of different opportunities you cannot decide between, and you have too many distractions stopping you from doing what you want to do. You may be busy making all those connections, but when you get home at night and look at your negative cash flow, that doesn't stop the feeling of being really alone. These were exactly the points I made to Rustica Lamb when I began mentoring her 2 years ago. Rustica is a Blaze genius who had moved from New Zealand to Bali and put her child in the same school as my children, the Green School. She had quit her job and made the move for a term. Without income, she knew this arrangement couldn't last, and she was in deep infrared looking for a way out. We began with her future vision. Rustica wanted to be involved in the growing movement in online education. In her future vision, she saw herself as a leader in the industry. She saw herself having a lifestyle where she could work from anywhere. She saw herself having an income that would easily cover her life in Bali and her child's education. She didn't know how all of this would happen, but she believed it would. The biggest issue that she had was trying to set up her own business in e-learning and applying a dynamo strategy that wasn't suited to her genius. She had struggled for years trying to start her own business without realizing that, as a Blaze genius, her flow was not in asking what she should do, but who she should work with. When I started mentoring her, I told her to turn everything around. Here's how Rustica followed her Blaze path out of infrared. Step 1. Measure your money. Do not ignore the money altogether, say it will take care of itself, and just follow your passion. That's what got you into trouble in the first place. Do link your future vision to the steady growth of your personal cash flow and make it your top priority without getting distracted by other people and their opportunities. Gather a team to support you and make it fun. How does a Blaze genius measure money easily? The first step is to not try working out where all the money went after you spent it. There is a simple banking structure that suits a Blaze genius, where you decide ahead of time where your money for the month needs to go. Set up automatic payments into the accounts you need for bills, cash, and contributions ahead of time, and follow a plan that doesn't rely on complicated spreadsheets. When you are ready to set this up, all the details for doing so are in the Measure Your Money playbook linked to your personal page on the Millionaire Master Plan website. Rustica immediately started measuring her money, so she knew exactly how much she needed to get out of infrared, a couple of thousand to get going. I then helped her pull together a team comprising an accountant and a friend. Rustica set her milestones with the goal of moving out of infrared within 3 months. She set her weekly reviews with her team so that she would keep to her commitment. With her new goal in front of her, it became clear that the extra cash flow she needed immediately wasn't going to happen from her e-learning startup. That led her naturally to Step 2. Step 2. Commit to conduct. Do not try and move out of infrared by trying to start your own business yet, or through multiple streams of income recommended by people you've connected with and get seduced by the variety of it all. Do seek out the friends and people you know who are in flow, or those you know who will know of others who are in flow, and work with one to grow their business through your energy and connections in a way that is actually profitable to you. You've read lots of books telling you that multiple streams of income are essential, but that's for people who are higher up the spectrum level, already have cash flow, and have a way to support and lead their teams. I've heard Blazes say, I'm going to go out and do marketing with part of my time and trade shares with some of my time and buy property with some of my time. Do not do this. A Blaze genius, or any genius at infrared, is not ready for that and shouldn't be thinking about it. This just leads to less and less and thinner streams of time. Stop splitting up your time and confusing your friends without any of them actually helping you generate the money you need. I told Rustica to put a list together of those people she knew in whom she placed a level of trust and who might be looking for someone who is a people person. For a Blaze, this is not difficult. When Rustica got the word out to her network that she was looking to make the most of her connections in New Zealand, a contact offered her a role to help grow his recruitment company. She took the opportunity with the condition that she could focus on e-learning and training. This meant she could earn an income while building her identity. She told him she would do it on a percentage basis, much as I did in England. She went one better and negotiated for her work to be part of a new training subsidiary that she would get ownership in if she made it a success. While I used my dynamo genius to create new strategies and opportunities, Rustica used her blaze genius to make connections through her relationships and headhunting. She moved back to New Zealand to take on the role, set up a rhythm that kept her calm and focused, and began connecting with the e-learning community, leading her to earn the cash flow she needed. Step 3. Do your duty. Do not spend your time helping other people without getting paid, pursuing connections in the hope that one will be your next big thing, and holding on to this idea of wanting to be nice to people as the measurement of your self-worth. Do focus all your attention on doing your duty to a higher purpose that will drive you and keep you on track, whether that is your family, your friends, or the community that will ultimately benefit from your success. Blazes want to be liked and will often get stuck and stay at infrared as the victim because they're helping everyone else out instead of looking out for themselves first. That doesn't mean not helping your friends. It means helping in a way that is actually profitable. Set a time to connect with a team that is committed to keeping you on track every week. This may be with 2 others. It may be with 4 or 5. Gather them together and appoint a leader so you can follow. You are always better when you are accountable to others. Get a steel genius to manage your numbers in return for your help with support and connection. Talk through the 3 steps and celebrate wins together. It does not take months and months of time when you focus on the strategy like this, especially for a blaze like Rustica. She used her genius to get out of infrared quickly by focusing on that single stream of income in a job that suited her strengths. Don't ever think that when you go out and work for others in order to be part of their flow, it is in any way a step back from trying to start your own business. In fact, the people you work for may turn out to be the ones who support you when you launch your own business. Most important, Rustica also did her duty by making it not all about her and what she wanted. She did what was right for her family, and that came before anything else. Within 3 months of moving out of infrared, Rustica planned the launch of an e-learning conference in New Zealand with the support of the connections she had made. She confirmed a number of well-known e-learning speakers and managed to secure the involvement of e-learning associations and groups in New Zealand. She connected the dots between established speakers and established organizations. Her senior role in the training recruitment company had given her the credibility she needed to make it happen. Just 8 months after moving back to New Zealand, Rustica ran the conference successfully with a team that she had attracted. She has since launched her e-learning business, built a team that manages her recruitment division, and secured an e-learning consulting contract with a national New Zealand company. By the end of 2013, Rustica had moved back to Bali with her family with the income, freedom, and life she imagined a year ago. She had struggled for years trying to start her own business, without realizing that as a blaze genius, her flow was not in asking what she should do, but who she should work with. The Tempo Genius Path Out of Infrared. Speaking of family, that leads us to the Tempo Path, and you already know my wife, Renata, is a Tempo genius. You also already know the story leading up to our working as a team to get our family out of infrared in the days after our car was towed away. I had sat down with her and explained the business's challenges and where we were. She had wanted to be part of the solution. Then, in the same way I shared with her my future vision, she created her own, as she had her own dreams and her own path to follow. Remember, Tempo is the opposite of Dynamo. Her strengths would be my weaknesses and vice versa. While Dynamos have their heads in the clouds, Tempos have their feet on the ground. The only way for me to fly like a kite was to have Renata hold the string. Tempos take longer to make decisions and to let go of the things they've gotten used to. While Dynamos are quicker to make money and quicker to spend it, Tempos don't have a to-do list of new ideas in the same way and often struggle to work out how to make money. The strength of Tempo geniuses is that they are not as quick to spend as Dynamo and Blaze geniuses and are more careful with how money flows out. Their challenge is working out how to increase the flow in. Step 1. Measure your money. Do not jump into some money-making activity because it's been recommended to you by a friend, or try to follow a system to make money faster, like share trading, property investing, or online marketing. Yet. Do turn your budgeting into a forward forecast linked to your future vision, and then work with a team who will help guide you to the easiest, most certain way to generate the extra cash you need in your plan to move out of infrared. Tempos know they're not going to create something new like dynamos, but they have a great sense of timing and thus can get seduced by someone selling something. That is not where tempo money should be going at this point. It locks it up in a way that leaves you without the cash flow you need. You end up asset-rich and cash-poor. Tempos should bring onto their team a dynamo or blaze genius who will be able to help direct them to the simplest way to earn. At our first little team meeting, Renata said she wanted to be earning, but how? We went through different possibilities. A job at a hospital? The hours wouldn't work. A management job? Not much fun. Something in property? Now that was something that interested her. We had narrowed down to an industry she was interested in, and that's when we moved to Step 2. Step 2. Commit to conduct. Do not spend all your time being busy, getting a false sense of achievement by having your hands full with activity that is not earning you the money you need. Do direct all your efforts toward a role where you are being profitably rewarded for bringing your natural strengths of reliability and service to a team in flow, with the help of your most creative or connected friends. Tempos are at their best when in the midst of activity, but this works against them in infrared. Tempo is all about reliable service, care, and action. Renata was so busy being busy every day, there was no time to sit down and commit to connect and focus and then go out there and earn money. Tempos do not have the same risk appetite as a dynamo and will only start moving when they have gained a comfort level with what they are doing and the best way to do it. By working together with a dynamo genius, Tempos can get the direction they need. Knowing she was interested in property, and knowing that this was not the time to put our own money into property investments, I worked with Renata on options to get involved in the property market that would generate income. As a tempo genius and a new mom, Renata had many close friends in Singapore. They were all renting property, and most would move every 2 years. How easy would it be to help them find their new home as a property agent? We worked out she would only need 4 successful rentals in the year to reach the cash flow target she had set to help us move out of infrared. I connected Renata with one of our biggest clients in our property magazine, Dennis Wee, a property agency with a great training program for agents. Renata was welcomed with open arms into their program. She set a rhythm that worked for herself and the family, and that gave her the time to go through the training and get set up as an agent. The result? She reached and then exceeded her own targets within 6 months and became so successful we set up a new company, Expat Rentals, to serve the expat market in Singapore. Today, it's one of the leading expat rental firms in the country. Step 3. Do your duty. Do not close off the rest of the world and retreat into your own activity. Do get connected by gathering a support team who can help you focus on a path that commits to a higher duty. Tempos are not extroverted like blazes. They will spend more time alone, which means they'll spend more time without support. If you are a tempo genius, you can manage spreadsheets and are most likely counting your costs already. You don't need a group like Blaze geniuses to make things happen, but you do need a team to keep you focused and reassure you about the tough decisions you need to make. As with Dynamo and Blaze geniuses, tempos need a cause bigger than themselves to move out of infrared. All of us can bear the pain of being in infrared on our own, but we cannot bear seeing others suffering from our actions. For Renata and me, working together by being honest about our situation, was critical to getting out and staying out of infrared. Many times it is your family or close friends who will help support you, but make sure they or anyone you are seeking support from are in flow and connected. It is no coincidence that there are so many comeback stories in which only a time of real hardship allowed people to get real. The habits we set then, and the systems we put in place, are the same ones Renata and I use today. By doing her duty, Renata sowed the seeds that led to her realizing not just her dreams, but my dream as well. The property experience she gained in Singapore has led to us growing a property portfolio around the world, including buying our resort in Bali. The Steel Genius Path Out of Infrared. Flo was far from where another married couple was when I met them in 2011. Lisa and Lachlan Lang had begun a business selling solar-powered heaters in Australia. Times had been tough, and they'd fallen into infrared as they put all their money into managing their business. Like Renata and me, the stress of it had affected their personal relationship as well. For the sake of their marriage, they were questioning whether they should still be working together, or if they even still had the motivation to manage the business. In their case, Lachlan is a steel genius, and Lisa is a dynamo genius. They had just had a baby, and cautious steel Lachlan was taking a traditional, I can make the decisions here approach, while dynamo Lisa was saying, okay, so what are we doing? But steel Lachlan had no way to give Lisa's creative, future-thinking dynamo that kind of answer. He was pessimistic about the industry and the future of their business, and at the same time, stubbornly resistant to change. He would say something like, we're going to keep on making a go of it. And she would respond, okay, but then why don't we do this or that? And then he would tell her to stop second-guessing him. That's how I first met them. It had gotten to a point where they knew things needed to change. We began with their future vision. It quickly became obvious to both of them that they would rather work together if they could work things out, and they both had dreams of a new business making a difference in the world. They just didn't know what yet. Here are the 3 steps Lachlan, using his steel genius, used to move with Lisa out of infrared. Step 1. Measure your money. Do not spend your time being judgmental and critical of how others are doing things and use this as a reason for inaction. Do focus your analytical skills on a financial plan that links to your future vision and that inspires a team to work with you on solutions to achieve the plan. Steel geniuses are the most deep-thinking and analytical of the 4 geniuses. They will see the 3 steps to get out of infrared as common sense, but still find it incredibly hard to get their heads around what to do. That's because steel geniuses always feel there is a better way to do things and are forever seeing the risks and downside. Steels at infrared have no problem saving money. They have a problem making more money. Dynamo and Blaze geniuses are naturally good at making money because they connect the ideas and the people. But they are not so good at keeping the money. Tempo and steel geniuses are brilliant at being able to keep the money and calculating exactly where it all is, but they are not so good putting their foot on the accelerator. Like Lachlan, steel geniuses in infrared usually have spreadsheets and budgets in place, but are holding on to cash-draining assets or low-paying jobs, and find it hard to make a decision, especially as they are so fearful of even greater losses. What steels need to do is connect with the people who know how to do that. The value steels bring to the table is in cutting costs. If this is you, perhaps you can get a percentage of the return if you help others make more profit rather than more sales, as I did as a dynamo. In Lachlan's case, all he had to do was look across the dinner table to see the dynamo he needed to connect with. He and Lisa put together a team and a financial plan to move out of infrared. There was a big shift in their cash flow that they needed to follow, and they didn't know how they would do it. But by having the plan, they could then commit to conduct. Step 2. Commit to conduct. Do not spend all your time on the details, trying to get ahead through analysis and attempting to grow things on your own. Do work with the help of others to find the flow. Create a rhythm with a team to keep you on track and positive, and trade your ability to be detail and system focused with those who can open the flow up to you. Steel geniuses have their foot on the brake instead of the accelerator. They internalize. They want to get things perfect before they move forward. When Lachlan and Lisa found out they were steel and dynamo geniuses, it suddenly made sense to them how they could work together and where their frustrations had come from. First, they created a rhythm where they would spend 80% of their time working to achieve their cash flow targets on their existing business and 20% dreaming on their new business. Lisa focused on ways to increase revenues with a series of promotions, and Lachlan negotiated increased payment terms with their suppliers. They changed their priority from trying to grow the business further to increasing its efficiency and quality. The result? They cut salary costs by reducing the size of the team, and they cut marketing costs by increasing referrals. With revenues unchanged, they made the extra money they needed to pay themselves what they needed to move out of infrared, and this gave them the breathing space to plan the future. Step 3. Do your duty. Do not cut yourself off from those around you while you try to work things out. Do find someone, anyone, to be accountable to. Hold yourself to a bigger cause with a dynamic leader or people person to work with to get you back into flow. Steel geniuses want to do things on their own and isolate themselves when they're at infrared level with no idea how to turn the cash flow back on. At infrared level, Tempo and Blaze get lost in either people or activity, while Dynamo and Steel always try to do it on their own. But when Steels like Lachlan, or Dynamos like me, do that, they cut themselves off from the very help they need. I worked with Lachlan and Lisa on their future vision, a picture of an inspiring, perfect life a year in the future with all their troubles behind them and extra money in the bank. I asked them what they would be doing and what would be different. Of course, they would still be working together. They would also be in business supporting the environment, but it would be a business with more heart, supporting families. We then created a rhythm for each week and each day that would allow them to get there, and I shared with them how I begin every day with 8 questions that ensure every day begins stress-free. You can find these 8 questions at the end of the book. Having a path that their business served, instead of them feeling like slaves to the business, empowered and united them, and made the hard decisions they were making in their business easier. Within months, they had decided on their new business. Lisa had a long list of ideas, and together we narrowed it down to Ecoriginals, a company that serves environmentally conscious families with the first fully eco diapers in Australia. Doing their duty to Lachlan and Lisa became more than just accountability to their family. They now had a mission to serve families all over the country. They attracted thousands of fans and pre-orders in advance of the launch, with the first container load shipping in to Australia less than 2 years after we first met. Does this mean that by moving out of infrared we all live happily ever after? No. The journey continues. Lachlan and Lisa, just like Renata and me, continue to have good times and tough times. We're all human. But rising up the lighthouse is like sailing out to sea. The waves get bigger. Your successes and challenges get bigger. But with more flow, like wind in the sails, you can navigate these waves a little more easily, and when you need the time or money to support your journey, it's there. The 4 gears to move out of infrared. Much as in the process of improving your health, until you know what's happening with your own wealth flow, you can't begin to improve it. Being in infrared is like having a leaky plumbing system. No matter how much money you earn, it always disappears. Measuring your money is all about fixing those leaks and turning your cash flow plan into a $1 million plumbing system. Try this exercise with me. You have 2 weeks to go out and earn money by whatever means possible. Money that will increase your own personal cash flow. You can go out and find an hourly job. You can do something with your business, You can moonlight. You decide how you're going to make the money. Thinking about these 2 weeks and all the possibilities available to you, what are you confident you could make? Could you make $10? Could you make $100? We'll keep adding a zero until you're not so confident anymore. Could you make $1,000? How about $10,000? $100,000? When I did this exercise with a group recently, only half the hands stayed up at $1,000, and only a few after that. Everyone could make it to $100, yet no one was focusing on that $100. It's not that we dismiss $100, it's just that most of us cannot be bothered with $100 because we want to go out and make $1 million. But the real key is not learning how to become a millionaire. The real key is discovering if you know how to make $100, how can you stretch it to $1,000? That's what you need to set up now, a way to make $1,000. Would an extra $500 a week cover your basic living expenses and get you to even cash flow and the red survivor level? For most of us at infrared level, it would, or it isn't far off. That's why, regardless of your genius, every single path out of infrared starts with answering the question, what is the actual amount of money I need so that I am no longer cash negative every month? For some people, it is as little as a couple $100. For others, it may be several thousand, but knowing that number is the very first step towards moving from infrared to red. That's how we stay focused on moving out of negative personal cash flow as fast as possible, and thus moving out of stress as fast as possible. So what is that number for you? Once you know that number, ask yourself, is there any way to close the gap between that number and what I have now by cutting down some of my expenses? Not forever, just to get to red level. That's a critical step that buys you your time and allows you to move forward and see things differently without the same level of stress and anxiety. How quickly could you make that happen? Once you know what that amount is and you have brought down your costs to a level where you can just cover that gap, you can better see how each person in these infrared stories found a way to cover that gap. There are 4 main ways, like 4 gears in a car, to move out of infrared. The gear you choose depends on your circumstances before you fell into infrared. They connect to the levels from orange to blue, all of which link to market flow. Orange level strategy, gear 1. Take this gear if you don't have a business, a team, or cash-draining assets you can sell. Cut your costs and get a job that pays you what you need to move out of infrared. That does not mean just throwing yourself into the job market. It also doesn't mean having to get a job you don't enjoy or that pays you too little. In Chapter 4, I will tell you how to find the right job for your genius and passion, and how to choose your team instead of waiting for a team to choose you. This is the gear Rustica and Renata took. Yellow level strategy, gear 2. If you are self-employed or a small business owner working at yellow level, you will know how to run promotions that deliver revenue and profit to your business. You can run a promotion that delivers enough direct income into your personal pocket to move you out of infrared. Focus on what generates the greatest cash flow to move out, and you can move out rapidly. This is the gear I took, as did Lachlan and Lisa. Green level strategy, gear 3. If you already own a business as a green performer and know how to redirect your teams to generate extra cash flow that ends up in your pocket, some swift changes can result in you getting out of infrared quickly. It could be as basic as paying yourself more from the business instead of leaving it in there. Simple as this sounds, do it and you will immediately feel a positive shift in your energy when you see the positive result in your bank account. Blue level strategy, gear 4. If you are sitting on multiple assets or debt, moving out of infrared can simply be a matter of reorganizing your assets and debt. That means selling properties that are costing you money every month and closing down the businesses that are burning a hole in your personal pocket. It is the time to reorganize your interest payments and how you pay back the debt. not to pay it all off, but simply to go cash flow positive every month. Now is not the time to hope for your asset values to increase or to get nostalgic about your business or house. Choose your strategy and then start following the steps and the actions out of infrared and move to red and beyond. If for any reason you are stuck and don't even know how you would make an extra $500 or $1,000, don't worry. In the next chapter, I will give you a step-by-step exercise that lets you identify and connect with the right people who can be directing their flow to you. For now, focus on the smallest amount possible to improve your cash flow. Take the following steps to measure your money and set your plan and schedule. Commit to what and when first. Who and how will follow. By the way, if you are listening to this chapter and you are already in positive cash flow, work through those 3 steps anyway so that you have a strong foundation to ensure that you stay out of infrared. It is all too easy to stop tracking your own personal finances as you become more successful. This is the one strategy that I would credit for my personal wealth and why it is the first step for each genius. Measuring my money and increasing the net cash flow I have every 3 months when I was at infrared level. Your first step is simply to measure what you need in order to get out of infrared. The key steps for mapping out your personal income are in the Measure Your Money playbook on your Millionaire Master Plan website page. What you want to create for the first time here, as you move from infrared to red, is a rhythm for how you measure and grow your wealth, starting with the first extra dollar that can last you through to the time when there are millions flowing through your accounts each year. So stop making excuses. Start being a survivor. You remember I said we are all geniuses. So why do so many of us get stuck in negative cash flow? Well, we are all geniuses at doing certain things, and we are even bigger geniuses at coming up with excuses for not doing things. Here are the top 5 excuses that create resistance to our flow and keep us at infrared level. Number 1, I can't cut back my costs. If you are in a job with a steady income and you are in infrared, you are overspending. Truth is, there are always people earning less than you who have worked out ways to stay cash positive. There is always a way to cut back costs. Number 2, I can't earn more than I'm earning. Whether you are employed or self-employed, you get to design how much you earn. It isn't about how talented you are or how hard you work. It is about what value you are delivering and who you are delivering it to. Number 3, I'll be out soon. Many people know they are in infrared, but rather than putting together a proper plan to get out, they fantasize about winning the lottery or making their business super successful. That was me as my car was towed away. Instead, it's the small, sure-thing actions you take that guarantee you move out. Number 4, I need to follow my passion. You may have read books telling you to follow your passion. Good advice, unless you are in infrared. If you want to go on a diet and simply follow your passion, eating chocolate cake, you clearly haven't found the solution. In fact, this is what got you in trouble in the first place. You need to put discipline before passion. Number 5, my investments need the money more than me. There are a surprising number of people who are asset-rich and cash-poor. Perhaps you have bought properties and other investments over the years. The problem is that they are costing you money to keep because they are in negative cash flow. Simply selling your negative cash flow investments could turn you positive. It's the pain of letting go that stops you from doing it. Get into the flow and let it go. I have made every single one of these excuses at one point in my life, some many, many times. I've also made all the mistakes everyone makes to fall back into or get stuck in infrared. I have insisted on doing it myself. Infrared comes from disconnection, trying to prove yourself by starting a business or getting others interested in helping you instead of you being interested in helping them is a sure formula for failure, leaving you stuck at this level. I have blamed others. The easiest way to cope with the anxiety of infrared is to blame others. It may help us feel better, but it doesn't change our situation. In fact, it stops us from taking full responsibility and control of our lives, which is what we need to do before we can change. It also stops us from being attracted to the people who can help us get into flow, and it attracts others who also want to blame and complain, which means we surround ourselves with people who are also infrared, making it doubly difficult to move out. I have picked fights. Fighting those whom you blame may feel productive and satisfying for the temporary release it brings, but directing all your negative energy into such fights is usually ineffective. If you really feel strongly about something, get into power and change it from the inside. Anything else is just a distraction to keep you at infrared, where you're left with the negativity or frustration you've attracted. And if you've done any of these things, or made any of these excuses, or even if you are just stuck on the verge of losing hope, there is one last thing before we move on to the red survivor and orange worker levels. It is going to be okay. Sure, if someone had told me this when I was standing on the street in Singapore, I would have not believed it. But I've made it my life's purpose to absolutely make sure that you do get out of it. Worldwide wealth is not about a few people creating more and contributing more wealth. It is about all of us being able to do that collectively. Maybe you think you have read every book that there is to read about doing this. You've read about cleaning up your credit cards and managing your money and still find it challenging to do. You've lost belief in yourself. Well, there are others who believe in you, and there will be many who will be thanking you when you are earning and giving at your full potential. Not only is it still going to be okay, but here's another thing to remember. You can't blame yourself for it. Every genius falls into a shadow when that genius is extinguished. If dynamos aren't given the opportunity to create and instead are made to work on their weaknesses, they will lose all confidence in their ability to add value in the world. Same for blazes who aren't given the chance to work with people and are forced to focus on detail. Tempos who aren't able to serve others and must come up with new ideas all the time. And steels who aren't given a chance to complete things well and have to spend their time in front of people. When the shadow consumes our genius, we don't do any of the stuff that makes up our natural strengths. The way you can move out is by following the stories of others like the ones here. Through them, you will feel what it's like to move out of this level too. That's why when you move out of infrared, you may simply move to red level, but some people jump straight to yellow, green, or blue level. That is because some people who already know how to run a business, be part of a high-performing team, or invest in a portfolio simply need to reorganize their personal finances to move out of infrared. So it's going to be okay. You are worth more than this. It is going to be okay. You are worth more than this. Chapter 3 Summary. Infrared level is a world of static and stress. Infrared level is negative cash flow. You can have millions in assets and still be infrared. Moving out must be your first priority. You can move out of infrared by following these 3 steps. Measure your money. Commit to conduct. Do your duty. Every genius has a different strategy for these 3 steps that involves doing new things and not doing the other things that got them into infrared in the first place. There are 4 gears for getting out of infrared, ranging from orange to blue level. There are 3 steps to stay in infrared: trying to do it yourself, blaming others for your situation, and picking a fight, focusing on the negative. Excuses also keep us trapped at this level. I can't cut back my costs. I can't earn more than I'm earning. I'll be out soon. I need to follow my passion. And my investments need the money more than me. Remember, it's going to be okay. Just follow the steps. Pre-flight checklist. Red level. Before getting busy with business, you must know what your personal financial milestones are ensuring you are growing a positive net flow each month. Your personal page on www.themillionairemasterplan.com has supplemental guides and videos, including assessments and playbooks for each of the following checklist points. I have included one of the exercises from the playbook at the end of this chapter: how to design your spaces to suit your genius. Complete the checklist now. Tick yes or no. How do you rate? When all 9 are checked yes, you will have built the plumbing system you need to stay well and truly out of infrared level. Measure your money. Number 1. I have a system to measure my personal finances every month and know what my monthly net income is. Yes or no? Number 2. I have a simple monthly forecast and actuals for my personal finances that allow me to track my progress. Yes or no? Number 3. I have a banking system and review system to ensure I am always aware of my personal financial position. Yes or no? Commit to conduct. Number 1. I have designed my relationships, environment, spaces, and travel to keep me in flow and at my best. Yes or no? Number 2. I follow a rhythm to plan my time and activities every year, month, and week that keeps me balanced and inspired. Yes or no? Number 3. I have a daily rhythm that energizes me in mind, body, and spirit and keeps me in good health and vitality. Yes or no? Do your duty. Number 1. I consider the actions that align to my flight path as my first priority, and I commit to these actions daily. Yes or no? Number 2. I am disciplined in managing my distractions and emotions and am surrounded by people who support my path. Yes or no? Number 3. I ensure I seek out answers and support, and I have the courage to act in the face of uncertainty. Yes or no? Action point. Design your spaces to suit your geniuses. A key to measuring your money at every level is to create a rhythm to manage your time and money that is aligned to your genius, energizes, engages, and keeps you in flow, and assigns value to the spaces of other geniuses. We all have a bit of every genius in us, but we have one predominant genius that is our path to success. For my dynamo genius, my path is using my creativity, but following that path does not excuse me for inexcusable behavior when it comes to the other geniuses inside me. In other words, a dynamo like me can't say, "Well, I am creative, so I don't have to do anything but create. I do not need to speak to anyone or worry about numbers." Yes, I do. I am at the blue level of the wealth lighthouse today, and I know this more than ever. I know that if I don't set aside a little bit of steal time with my finance team every week and month, then I'm going to miss something somewhere and lose the rhythm I have created. When I step into my steal space, I become Steel Roger. While this is not my natural genius, I can tap into the smaller steel genius in me with high standards in my attention to detail and low tolerance for madcap thinking. I only need an hour, and in that hour I understand where the numbers are in all my businesses everywhere, because the hour is set up that way. Now, you have most likely tried some time management techniques, and one may still be working for you. One of the biggest problems I encounter, however, is people who constantly try to squeeze too much activity into too little time. The trick to shift this is to realize it isn't just when you do things, it's where you do them. Our environment is a much bigger factor in our lives than we realize. Too many of us have created stress and are overwhelmed in our lives by mixing up our energies. Sitting at a desk to try to study your finances, getting interrupted by phone calls, and then going back to your spreadsheet is like trying to freeze ice and boil water all in the same place. An enormous amount of energy is spent simply trying to switch from one state to another. Of course, this is going to cause stress. At my resort in Bali, I have designed 5 different pavilions that create 5 different types of energy. Depending on whether I have creative activities, where I am adding the what or people to speak to, where I am connecting the who or plans to review, when, or data to analyze, how, or my vision to reflect on why, I set times of each week and each day when I will physically move into the best space for the energy I need. Take the time now to design your week using the 5 frequencies we discussed in Chapter 1, aligned to the 4 geniuses and the 5th spirit frequency that unites them all. Then decide on the place and time to do each and stick to it. Place your natural genius frequency as your Wednesday, so it anchors your week, and then flow from there. So, for example, if you are a dynamo genius, make Wednesday your dynamo day, then Thursday your blaze day, and so on. Here is how it works for me. Dynamo space. This is your space to brainstorm, write creatively, come up with new ideas, and answer the question, what? Make it a place where you can pin things up and see the big picture. Don't take phone calls here or text message or use any kind of social media. Don't get stuck in details or distracted by others. Blaze space. This is your space to have conversations, answer emails, take phone calls, and answer the question, who? When you step into this space, you will have everyone's contact information close at hand, photos of people who are important, and post-it notes of conversations and threads to follow. Make this a space of conversation, where there is no room to daydream or procrastinate. Tempo space. This is your space to be calm and grounded, and to sit with team members to plan or with clients to listen. This is where everything has a when and where. This isn't a place to promote or sell, but a place to provide care and service and take care of smaller, people-related activities. Don't let any overly positive or overly negative energy into this space. Steel space. This space allows you to concentrate on the detail, get quiet time, and focus clearly on the how. This is where you keep all your finances and spreadsheets, and where all your detailed files can be easily accessed. Keep out all interruptions, and have no phones, emails, or distractions in this space. Be willing to be critical and to take criticism from here. Spirit space. This space inspires you and allows you to reflect on your higher purpose and bigger mission. This is where you get to breathe and bring out your inner smile. Every morning I begin in my spirit space and ask myself 8 questions to begin every day. See the action point following Chapter 8. What are the productive environments that you can create to redesign the standards you set for your mind, body, and spirit each day? Even if you have a full-time job or have your hands full with children, there is always a way to reorganize your time and space to bring out your best self. Once you have your spaces, design your schedule and keep to it. Hold yourself to a standard by which you aren't late to a space because you became caught up in the space before. Just as I won't want to make someone wait for me because I'm late for an appointment, I won't make my Blaze Roger wait for me because my Dynamo Roger is hogging my time.